Hey guys, it's Monday morning and we are coming to you live from my house in Chevy Chase again. This is really exciting. It's fun to be doing this. And I have to tell you, one of the things that's really funny about what we're doing is I keep forgetting what number we're on. So I had number 51 up here this morning, and then I had this moment where I'm like, no, somebody told me that we're not quite on 51, but maybe we are. Who knows? So I wanted to remind you, we're going to be going live today. We are live today on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, but we need subscribers over on YouTube. So please go over there, take a moment, subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate it. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. My kids think I am a nerd, and they will continue to think I'm a nerd until I get 1,000 subscribers, and maybe even after. So who knows? Another reminder that we have ASMM Campus Live. We're trying to put things up there on a regular basis. If you are trying to start your digital marketing, you don't have the money to hire an agency, but you know you need some help, this is a great place to start. There's great information over there about what you can do to help yourself get started in digital marketing. And we're going to talk a lot about digital marketing today because I've got one of my favorite people in here. Alex Fakeri is here. Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hi, Ann. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I think we've spent more time together in the past 2 months than we've spent ever.
I think so. That might be right, but that's the beginning of a great thing. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. So you're with MOJO Creative, and we just did, I'll just tell everybody out who's listening, everybody who's watching, we just did 2 different virtually hooked events where we have a panel. It's you, it's me, it's Alex, and it's John over at Hawk Marketing, and we've talked a lot about marketing. So I wanted to have you on specifically because I already had John on, and to talk about it today. So tell us a little bit about MOJO first, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm happy to say MOJO's been around since almost, since 2004. So we're coming up on our 16th year here. And we are a creative digital agency. And our goal was to create the most innovative and creative solutions for businesses and to help raise their expectations of what they receive for their marketing. And so we do that in the form of digital asset creation. So whether it be videos or websites or mobile apps, which are most of the things that we're very popular for, all of the solutions that we create are designed to help you frequently, consistently send out your message. But we're based out right here in Baltimore. We have survived 2 recessions now, which I'm happy to say, and I'm very grateful for. But we have a great creative team, and we absolutely love what we do over here.
Well, and you do a lot in the community, not just for business, but for everybody. You're very, very active in the community. So I think that's key to success as a small business.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. And, for us, when I started this business, I knew there were 4 pillars in which I wanted to build my business on. And one of those key pillars is really, it is giving back. It's that social responsibility that we have. I'm a disabled veteran, so veterans are very key and dear to me. And so, but I don't just stop there, so we do a lot of different events, and whether we're raising money for veterans or providing them, disabled veterans who are trying to start their businesses up with opportunities. But we also do a lot of things such as the Christmas tree lighting. Every year we go out and take photos of literally thousands of families over in Pasadena Lakeshore for the past, I think we did the counts like 8 years now we've been doing that. And, overall it's one of our favorite things to do, but we definitely try to help out and stay involved and help out wherever we can. So
that's
it's time
great.
to give back.
You mentioned veterans, so I'm going to give a shameless plug to one of my favorite veterans organizations. Warrior Music Foundation is also local. They're out of Bowie, and they do free music lessons and free music therapy for veterans and their families. And I'm on the board, so that's why I said shameless plug. I sit on their board, and I just had the most wonderful time with them the other night because one of the things they do is they help the families as well as the veteran, which is an unusual thing to have happen. But they had a 15-year-old girl who has been anorexic, and had been hospitalized over and over again. And she recently wrote them a message and said, hey, I started taking lessons with you. I started doing therapy with you, and I haven't been in the hospital. I'm eating again. I'm doing so much better. And I want to be a therapist. And I thought that was the coolest thing, right? That you can give back in that way. So Warrior Music Foundation, I love. So thank you for giving me that opportunity to give them a plug there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So let's move into the marketing arena, because we actually talked a little bit about this last week, willfully ignorant businesses and what they're missing. So tell me what you mean by that.
It's one of those reality jabs for a lot of businesses that they have to start to wake up. That, there are so many businesses out there that assume, I have a building and people will come to my building, or I have a Facebook page and people will come to my Facebook page. And you know that all too well, Ann. People will make these attempts, and while they're really good at what they do, they're typically business owners who were technicians in the industry in some shape or form of what they do professionally, and then they went to go start their own thing. And well, some of the things that they're not good at is understanding that marketing and messaging, they're all critical to being found and being available for your target business customers. And so what I find is often is that customers will I don't want to call it arrogance, but to a degree it's borderline. Well, they'll find me. They'll get there. They'll come across me. And so I'm using this phrase, willful ignorant businesses, because the fact is a lot of them walk around with this preconceived notion that you create a business and they will come, and it's just not what it is, and it's damaging to them and their employees.
Right. Well, and one of the things that I'm going to throw in there with it is this willful ignorance of what people are saying about you. I don't want to know. So yes, what we put out there is important, but what other people are putting out there is important as well. So I had a potential client I reached out to recently, and I said, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to market your, we're going to pay attention to your reviews and what people are saying. And he says, I don't care what people are saying about me. And I thought, oh, that's really bad.
Yeah.
That's, we've got to care, right?
Yes. And that's, you're right. And they just, again, that's that ignorance level that it doesn't matter what people think. Maya Angelou once wrote that people will never remember what you did. They'll never remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And right. This is the core of what MOJO does, is when we take action, whether we're creating a flyer or a website or whatever it is that digital asset that we're making, this has to resonate with somebody. And this is going to be potentially my one and only opportunity to close a deal.
Right.
That's it. And you have to, if you go with it with any less of an expectation that you're not going to take that one piece serious, then it's doomed to fail. And I think that businesses are going to have to, and now more so than ever, and we were talking about this the other day, Ann, is that, one thing that this whole post-COVID era that we're entering into right now rapidly is taught businesses that, well, shucks, we were taken off the mat. And, most people don't even know if we're around and alive right now. And the fact is, now more so than ever, businesses are starting to understand that, okay, I need to do something. I can't just sit here and hope. So yes, businesses need to wake up, and it requires action. So.
Right. Absolutely. And it requires continuous action, right? So you talked about, you're going to talk about ripple effects and the importance of consistency. Why is consistency so important?
It's important for the reason that there are so many things. You'll hear all these sayings that a company needs to have their brand mentioned 7 times in front of the consumer before they remember it. And just think about any habit, whether there's some truth to that. Now, 7 times isn't the magic number. I could kind of get rid of that, that assumption that's or that long-standing myth that it's 7 times. It's actually, it could be a lot more, it could be a lot less. But the point is that in order for something to resonate, or for them to start to be conditioned to want something, they have to go to it over and over and over again, or if they have to see it over and over and over again. And a lot of businesses, I always laugh at, they just focus on the visual, right? But there's 4 other senses. There's 5 senses you can tap into to customers to try to market and stimulate their activity. And so, for a lot of businesses, I say, get creative, start to find ways, but consistently and over again, repeat, your message. I mean, how many times did your parents tell you when you're young, eat your vegetables, eat your vegetables. And now what do you say to your children? Eat your vegetables, eat your vegetables. There's the concept of I'm going to just do it once and never think about it again. Just won't work. I mean, customers need to know you're there, and they need to know that they're missing out on something. That's the real big thing. I mean, you're helping people understand what they are potentially going to be gaining if they keep hearing your brand over and over again. I'll just kind of leave it at that for a moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's, one of the things that we say, especially when it comes to Facebook in particular, I think this is the one where we see it the most often. Mm-hmm. We tell them, sometimes you're going to get a call and they're going to say, my friend told me about you. And it really isn't a friend at all. It's really that they've seen you over and over and over and over again on Facebook. And maybe a friend even shared it, but that's where you've seen it. So it is so important that you're out there, because you never know where they're going to find you. You never know where they're going to see you. So I think it's, marketing plans. People come to you all the time and say, hey, how do I create that? How do I start a marketing plan? So how do you do it? What is your philosophy?
Well, the funny thing was, when I started this business, at first I was just like everybody else, build a business. And then I need to start marketing the business. And when I started determining that, I was going to create this kind of ripple effect with my marketing, I said, what were the tools that I was going to need to make that happen? And the truth was, there was nobody out there. Like, when you're in business for yourself, it's not like whether you're a restaurant or a mechanic, or you don't go to the competitor next door and say, give me your secrets, help me. And like, they're going to say, oh, sure, go ahead. Here's my key to success. That's not happening. So I kept this pressure on myself. And I think a lot of businesses can relate out there. I've got to figure this out. And you start what is it? You get paralysis by analysis. You start sweating it and you're figuring out, what am I doing wrong? And, I kept going through that cycle myself. And then I was Googling up how to build a marketing plan. And, everybody has anything out there like that, it's usually selling something with it, in the sense of, here's your PDF packet for $500. Have a nice day. And you're like, I just need to figure this out. The first thing I want to say is that a marketing plan can start as simply as a napkin. And I know that sounds really funny to say, but that's where I started, and I started saying, well, what might a marketing plan look like, right? It's going to have something about the asset itself. It's going to have something about some sort of tool, right? Whether it be a billboard or a video or a website. And then I said, well, I need to have some sort of budget. So I started talking about budgets. And then next thing you know, it came down from budget to the different assets, to the frequency at which I was going to head it at, send my marketing. And then in addition to that, it was going to be who my target audience was. Who am I going after? And then in addition to that, I started seeing other information as I found that as I started weaving this document, which ended up turning into like a 10-page Word doc over time. Okay, it wasn't right away. Right. It took me a long time to get this down right. It did a couple things. One, I was gaining confidence in what I was putting together because it was meaningful to my business. And the other thing was that as I was developing that marketing plan, I started picking up on other tips and insights in industries. And I just Googled some different words and I started learning about SWOT analysis. Okay. Strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Like, that's an analysis most business should kind of go through. It's like, what is the SWOT analysis for my business? And so next thing you know is I had the SWOT, I had my budget, I had my marketing assets, I had my frequency. I started looking at the channels and marketing pathways in which I wanted to advertise. But once you start doing that, just put it down in Word. It doesn't need to be pretty. It's something for yourself. And if it helps you just to sketch it, put it up on a billboard, knock yourself out. But it's a very helpful thing. And most businesses don't realize. You hear everybody tell you got to have a plan, you got to have a plan, you got to have goals. Stop fighting it. The truth is, you have to have a goal and you have to have a plan.
Right, right. Oh, absolutely.
No benchmark, no success.
Absolutely. So actually, before I say what I'm going to say next, I want to remind people that you can leave comments. We can see them. We can pull you up on the screen. Also, I started this whole podcast to help small businesses. So use it. I want to remind you to use it. That means if you want to leave a comment and just say, hey, this is the business I am in. This is my business. You want to shamelessly plug yourself? Do that. I'm happy with that. Whether you're doing it on Twitter, whether you're doing it on Facebook, or you're doing it on my YouTube channel, shamelessly use me. It's why we did it. It's why we're here. So What
Sorry
were
to
you
be
to say?
negative.
No,
I
no,
was just
no.
going to say, remember people, the worst question in the room is the one not asked. So please ask a question. I mean, we in the Hooked events and in Ann's podcast, I mean, we're trying to demystify the challenges that we come across to make your lives easier. So
Absolutely.
it won't cost you anything. Just going to throw a question up. So
Absolutely. So if you are listening to this instead of watching this next bit, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I want to talk to you about the marketing pathways, but I want to tell you, you see my logo, it's up in the corner there and it's got the little swirl in it. And people are like, what in the world? And it's because I talk with my hands. I'm always talking with my hands. And I'm always saying that you have to mix it all in. You have to do, if you're going to do print marketing and you're going to do email marketing and you're going to do social media marketing, you're going to do video marketing and you're going to do podcasts and you're mixing it all in like a soup. So that's where the swirl came from. But you have a whole separate thing you talk about with marketing pathways, right? So why don't you lead us into that?
Absolutely. Well, and I love the swirl, by the way.
Thank you.
So marketing pathways, early on, what I started noticing that my biggest challenges were conversations with clients, and they'd come in and the same thing was happening over and over and over again. I just left a marketing agency and I wasn't getting what I looked for. I just left this company. I wasn't getting what I was looking for. And this conversation would repeat over and over and over again. And it occurred to me, I'm like, well, maybe the problem isn't necessarily the companies that did the service. Potentially, it's actually your expectations of what that service was. And and it kind of sounds like a little self-preservation, but the truth of the matter is, for most companies, they're getting barraged with, a barrage of inquiries of, hey, can I put you on my Comcast Spotlight services? This is what it costs you, $5,000, $6,000, $2,000, whatever it is. Other companies will sell you your brand on the back of a register receipt or on a placemat at a local restaurant. I mean, they're in selling you these products. And the truth of the matter is, people will sign up for these things in the shotgun approach to marketing. And the problem is it doesn't provide them with a solid, result, that something that they expect, because they didn't take the time to understand it. They didn't understand more so the audience that it was going to capture. And so when that all kind of resonates to dollars, right? What did I sell as a result of that? And either they don't have the reporting to measure it, or to some degree, the expectation of, how frequently customers go to those establishments. So I typically found that I needed some way of communicating to customers the different values that were, or opportunities that were available in each marketing pathway, because there are billboards, there's newspapers, there's text messaging, there's social media, there's there used to be Groupon, right? There's so many different mediums in which you can advertise. Billboards, street signs, movie theaters. There's so many things, but at the end of the day, you're only going to be able to make an educated decision once you understand what that marketing pathway channel, if you will, can do for you. So the marketing pathways was a conversation starter with clients to say, here's the different options that you have. And it's a layout of generally all the different ways in which you can advertise. And I always tell everybody that there's a customer behind every means of advertising. There's a customer that's looking at the back of register receipts. There's a customer looking at placemats. But the idea of the marketing pathways is to say, is there enough customers to justify the investment? And how can I capture that investment and get the biggest return? And so the marketing pathways is something that we have developed and built, and it really does help people understand, where should I be spending my money and what am I going to get out of it? And so, and there's some questions that go along with it too, but it's a great conversation starter for companies looking to get into the, consider marketing.
Right. Well, and you've said twice something about your target audience. And something that I find interesting is how often people think their target audience is one thing and learn that it's something completely different. So how often they're not looking at their analytics, haven't even thought about their analytics, and how often those analytics will tell you exactly who it is that's looking at what you're doing. Right.
Right. Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. And the reality is, if you can't just be a business owner that says, I'm going to set it and forget it. Okay, I'm going to buy that Google AdWords campaign, or I'm going to sign up for Comcast, Spotlight, and not have an expectation of, what is the benchmark of success? What does it look like when I am successful versus when I'm not? And the other thing is you can't be afraid to take chances, and you can't be afraid to say, this is going to be a loser, right? But you need to know for a fact. And the biggest thing that you can do is you can assume things, right? And we won't go down that whole rabbit hole. And so what I hope is that businesses understand that they need to, like what you say, take time to understand the analytics. You don't need to be, let's say have a doctorate's degree when you're all said and done on marketing, but you do need to make educated decisions.
Right.
That's the whole point of it. And that's why analytics are out there. So I would say pay attention to them.
Well, and you'll often be surprised, right? You get not just of who your target audience is, but when I first started, before I started this agency, I had a blog that was pretty popular. And it was so funny because I would put something up and I would hate it. I had gotten over the fact that sometimes you're just gonna have to put something up. It's Monday. Yeah. I'm supposed to put up a blog post. I'm gonna do it. And as soon as I said, ugh, crap, I'm gonna put this thing up. I hate it. Everybody else is gonna hate it. It would go viral. And I'm like, what in the world? And then I'd write something that I thought was brilliant and it would just sit there and you'd get crickets. So analytics help you see what it is that people are liking, what they enjoy, what they're going to come back to over and over again. That's another thing that you can learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to share one little story. So there was an auto parts store that I was dealing with, a small mom and pop auto parts store one time. And, they were so adamant about getting on the internet and selling such and such product. And they spent a ton of time. And I kept saying, look, let's find out what people are actually interested in before you start just pushing that one product. And lo and behold, they were selling starters and like other companies, like intercoolers. That's what it was. Intercoolers for almost any type of make and model of car. But what they ended up finding through the long, slow process was that their number one selling product on the internet was actually locking gas caps. That was something that they sold by leaps and bounds. They couldn't keep the shelf stocked. And so what they ended up doing was finally coming, and we kind of came to the same page where we started looking at, well, where were those transactions taking place? How frequently compared to other ones? And what were their margins on the locking gas caps versus the starters? And so what we ended up doing is finding a better way for them to hone in on that. And in a sense, increasing their sales and profitability. And, just focusing on that, one set of products. There's actually ended up being like 4 different products they sold a lot of, but if they didn't take the time to look at the analytics and kind of just say, okay, I'm going to take it on and learn it, they weren't able to be successful. And that's what's really important. I just want to kind of help share that story when it comes to the net result of knowing your analytics.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will get calls from people and they'll say, oh, no, I don't do it that way. I don't like it when you do it that way. I want you to do it this way. And we're like, give it a day, give it a couple of days. Yeah. So you watch it. Let's see what's happening first. And sometimes, we're wrong too. We're trying different things, but part of it is that we're trying them to test. What is it that's going to get their attention?
And you hit the nail on the head here. And that's another expectation of customers. We know our industry. We've seen more marketing campaigns and concepts than they have, not in a vain way or in a proudful way. But what I mean by is, that's the nature of our job, what we do every single day. And so while we can still get it wrong sometimes, there's also a lot of times we get it right. And the point is that when we work together, it's got to be a collaboration. You have to look and have expectations to say, okay, we're going to try this for 6 months, 12 months. You can't run a campaign for 2 weeks or 30 days and expect, monumental change. All right. That's seriously a flawed way of thinking. Right. It's like saying I'm going to exercise for 30 days my entire life and I'm never going to do it again if it doesn't work out. Right. Okay. It doesn't work.
Right. So. Exactly. And we're going to come to our final point, which is warning, you have to do something. You have to get off your butt. You're going to have to do something. So what are your thoughts on what people need to do more?
Yeah. So when it comes to taking action is required. The idea is that, it's great to watch this video, right? It's great to talk about it with your friends, but it's going to actually take you doing a couple different things. It's going to require you to pick up the phone, talk to a professional. It's going to require you to cut a check. It's going to require you to be engaged and not just leave it there and hope it works out. A lot of times, we'll have businesses that come to us and their first initial reaction is, where's my result? And, but what they realize is they can make better decisions by actually getting involved and understanding what's happening. They don't need to make the decisions with every little action, but they need to stay engaged and they need to take action on the marketing plan. And you said something earlier that is just even at its root fundamental. Just take action. If you're going to write a blog, it might not be the best blog, but write it. If you're going to say, I'm going to make a change, I'm going to start advertising on social media, then don't worry about perfecting something. I typically find it's better to have a process than try to jam technology down your throat and worry about, am I getting this done to, perfection right now? It's get a process that works for you. Start taking action on that process. And then the next thing you know, then you can start seeing success. So action is required. You can't just watch this video. You're gonna have to pick up the phone and call somebody. It's at the end of the day, or do it yourself. But you just can't talk about it and theorize about it. And don't do the whole analysis, paralysis by analysis approach to marketing. Put stuff out there. You'll feel much better and you'll see action. You'll see results.
Absolutely. So I'm going to make a confession. My team has been giving me a hard time. They're ribbing me a bit because since COVID and really honestly, because we wanted to help our clients, we started this podcast. That was the idea. Start the podcast, get some of our clients on here, get them some visibility they weren't getting before, and go from there. Well, in the process, I created a marketing plan without thinking about it because I hadn't done much marketing for me. Most of mine had come word of mouth. And I'd say that, well, we're on social media. And the truth is my clients hate social media. So they're not going to find me this way. But I was fooling myself. My clients are on social media as well. They just don't know how to use it. Right. Yeah. So we did this and it has taken a lot of work. We started the podcast, we do the video podcast, we turn it into an audio podcast, we then turn it into a blog. It is constant movement. Again, that circle, right? We've got the whole swirl of activity. That was a lot of work and it's been absolutely worth it. But it was a lot of work and you have to keep going back to that. It doesn't come easy. It is a lot of work. Yeah. So you just got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, no, I think you do. And just know that you will get a result and don't be afraid of the change. I mean, one thing, not just COVID, but in my 16 years of doing this, building Mojo, and 22 years in the industry, I can tell you that I've learned to embrace change and not to be fearful of trying something new. Because every single time I've done it, I've learned something new about myself. We've done better or expand in some sort of way. So take action. You guys will appreciate it later on.
Right. Okay. And you know what? We didn't talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it because it's one of the things you really excel at. We didn't put in our talking points. We didn't do any of that. Sure. But video. We're doing video here. We did video last week. You do a lot of video. Why is it? Why is it successful for people?
Because, there's a fact, and it was reaffirmed for me a few years ago after my gut reaction was how important video was to communicate a message. But it was really reaffirmed for me when the Gallup poll released a note that said that 90% of consumers would rather watch a 4-minute video than read one paragraph. And the truth of the matter is people, they have this instant gratification. There's a reason video is important because Google bought YouTube, right? Because they knew that people consumed video. And it's the easiest way to give a description of your business or give those intangible words that you just can't necessarily write down. And you can deliver it in a very eloquent and visually pleasing way for people to consume a lot faster. And they'll understand your message in its entirety rather than just in a paragraph written on a page. Or heaven forbid, you have like 10 paragraphs on a website that nobody's going to read. But video is very important for that reason.
Yeah, and you guys do a brilliant job with it. You really do.
Thank you, thank you. We've filmed, all around the country. We've done big shoots for like NASA, where we did a 36-minute documentary. We've actually had the thrill of chasing police boats for Homeland Security in Tampa, Florida, and filming that and product overviews. And then we've done local shops just right here down the street that just want to have a message about their business and how they care about working on their consumers' cars. So it just conveys a good message, and we really do enjoy doing it.
Absolutely. I was just sitting here thinking about that, actually. You said local shops. So many local shops right now are struggling. And I think pride keeps them from saying, hey, we're struggling. You're buying from Amazon. You're buying from the big box stores, and you're not coming into us because we're closed because of COVID, and we're going under. So if a lot of them can use video successfully, even just live video, but yes, do something compelling to get people's attention. Admit that you're having a hard time. Admit that you are going to go under without the help of your community, because that's what this is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Those people,
it's a community. So
yeah, I mean, people do realize, again, now more so than ever, businesses, don't be prideful. I mean, people know that you're hiring their daughters and their cousins and their uncles, and everybody out there is dependent upon each other. Small businesses are the majority of our country, and there's nothing wrong with saying I need a little bit of help. Why don't you come make sure you visit our shop? We're looking to make sure everybody's healthy and well, but we're still open and looking to stay here and continue to serve the community for X number of years. I mean, but you got to speak up. So, and yes, use video by all means. I would, of course, tell you it's all these great lights and microphones and techniques and strategies that will do wonders for you, and they will. But just getting yourself documented and sharing a good video, turn a lamp on from the other across the room and be close to the microphone and say what's on your heart. That'll make a big difference. So.
Absolutely. But I do think it hadn't even occurred to me that they should be calling you for that sort of thing, to really put something compelling out there that shows what they're doing. So I think that's important.
And then I'll say, if they go to our website, they go to mojo.biz, and you click on the lens work page, you'll see a sampling of just some of the different types of videos we've done for clients, to give you a sense of how. I mean, look at those objectively and see, do I understand more about this business than if I went to their website? So
right. All right, now I'm going to put you on the line because you and I talk about books a lot.
Yes.
Tell me about your favorite books.
So I have a lot of favorites, but I have to tell you there are a few compelling ones that I'm excited to share with you. And one is very relevant right now, and that is called The Third Wave. It was actually written by the founder of AOL, Time Warner, and he actually talks about the third wave of internet technologies. And when this book was published a couple of years ago, it was talking about how we were going to be starting to move into data and the medical industry and forecasting and artificial intelligence. And I'll be danged, this book didn't really nail it for me. But my all-time favorite go-to for people, especially new business owners, is E-Myth. I think it's one of the most enlightening books I've ever read, and I've read it a couple times now. I mean, E-Myth is a phenomenal one. And then the most recent thing I'm reading is Winning by Jack Welch. Unfortunately, he passed just not too long ago, but Jack Welch was the former CEO of GE. And he has this great segment on being candid and sharing information. But those I'd say were the top three. I just would also compliment that by Walt Disney. It was a great book for me as well. I think I've mentioned that to you as well. And you're reading that, and I'm
currently reading that.
Yeah, and I'm getting ready to pick up on your book that you're referencing, and I'm almost done with Amazon, the book about Amazon, and that's I'm almost done. I'm about an hour away from finishing that, but I'll be picking up next.
Well, I don't know when I'm going to finish the Disney one. That is one long book.
Yeah, it's long. I tell you, it's like something like 40 hours of reading. But I can tell you, at the end of the day, especially in our industry, I was like, wow, this is a compelling book. But I definitely would say check out E-Myth, check out The Third Wave, and check out Winning. That for no matter what industry you're in, internet, whatever. Jack Welch has some very powerful messages lying in there.
That's great. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And the E-Myth, I keep telling people I always feel like Oprah because I keep buying the book and I keep giving it away. And I'm like, can you get a book? Can you get a book? So it's one of my favorites. So, all right. I want to, you said they can find you at mojo.biz. So, correct. And you can help them with all sorts of things. What is, give us kind of a rundown of what you can help people with.
Yeah, our primary service are custom websites, custom app development, all the high-end stuff. I mean, we typically also have the other services go along with that, with videography, branding, and logos. And, at the end of the day, the marketing plans, right? But those are our really core services that we offer: websites, custom apps, videos, and, branding and logos. Those are what we're known for. It's a lot of stuff follows in there when you talk about branding, but it could be anything from the vehicle wraps to your shirts, to your trade show booths. A lot of the clients that we have, we've been in business 16 years, and our average client's with us 10 years. And the idea is that we help them, no matter what their message looks like, it's frequently and consistently marketed on multiple mediums. So, yeah, definitely take a look at MOJO.biz. You'll see a lot of different work that we have up there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and you do a phenomenal job. I've had a great time working with you in the past couple of months. So hopefully we'll continue that. I want to remind everybody that tomorrow we have, or not tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Wednesday we have Bill Kurzeja. We decided Kurzeja. I'm going to ask.
Kurzeja, I think, Bill Kurzeja.
There you go. And he's going to talk about confidence, but he's going to talk about whether you can learn it, whether you can teach it, whether it's something that is just innately in you, or you can build on that. So I think that's going to be an interesting conversation.
I think I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good one. And then Friday, we're going to talk about, we're going to talk to John Stoge. He tried to come on a couple of weeks ago, and we had major technical difficulties. So he's going to come on Friday, which we usually don't do, but he's going to talk about why you should start with an exit plan. And I think that's going to be, it's the first time we've talked about that. And I think it is something that people do need to talk about. So want to remind you, you can subscribe. If you're listening to this, please subscribe wherever you're listening to it. If you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe there. If you're not, do me a favor and hop over on YouTube and subscribe there for me. That would really appreciate that. If you need digital marketing, you need somebody to do your social media marketing, that's what we do. And we can help you. We love to do it. It's one of, I tell people, we do the things that people don't like to do, which is we help you not just create the marketing plan, but actually put it on and then talk directly to your customers. So we become you on digital marketing. So that's a big step. We've had a great time doing this. We're going to continue to do it as long as we can, as long as you guys keep listening. So please do let us know you're listening. And again, thank you so much, Alex, for coming on. I really appreciate it. You've been a great guest.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And I want to say hi to Helen. I see you there, Helen. And also just want to say, taking action is subscribing to Ann's podcast. I mean, it's taking action means doing it right now. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, guys, I'll see you on Wednesday.
Thanks. Take care.